Hello and welcome back to the Fountain of Health. My name is Susan. Thank you for joining me for episode 2, drop number 2. Before I get started, I have a few things I want to share quickly. Number 1, I hope you're enjoying this format. It was designed and chosen for a reason, but I'm not going to tell you why. I kind of want you to figure that out as you watch these episodes. Also, I'm going to recap and share something else as well here. Last episode, episode 1, I talked about these 8 factors why people don't like to talk about health, fitness, and wellness. Everything from it being overwhelming to fatiguing to feeling shame, anxiety, and guilt, and certain levels of discomfort, having an honest conversation with yourself. Talked about being proactive and the concept of health as an assumption, talked about consistency, talked about the word can. But it was this first one, this overwhelming one, that got me thinking. Because overwhelming, again, is a health, fitness, and wellness industry that is saturated with people like me and products and services. And so I asked that question, why would you want to listen to me? Because I'm one of them. So I want to share with you right now why I'm doing this, why this podcast is so important to me. I've been an athlete. I have had my fair share of injuries. As an adult, I gained almost 40 pounds. I was able to lose those pounds. I've been through menopause. I'm 3 years post-menopause. And during menopause, I gained 30 pounds back. And then I lost those 30 pounds. And sure, I have some training and some education. But most importantly, I've walked the walk. I've been there. I know how frustrating it can feel and how there are moments where sometimes you just feel hopeless. And I hope that my experiences and my journeys and my information and tips can hopefully, maybe, be helpful. And that's why. So, today's episode, we are talking about a very big potential obstacle when you are trying to improve your health or your fitness or your wellness. And as I said in last episode, episode 1 and today's episode are laying the foundation for you before you even take your first step. This is to help prepare you so you know how to recognize these things and you know about them and you have a plan and you know what you want to do to handle them. And today's episode will be similar. I will be talking about our subject matter, which is this, psychology. And I will be covering some concepts related to psychology and how to possibly handle those. When I talk psychology, obviously I'm talking about what's going on up here. And our minds can sometimes be our worst enemy. Don't we know that? This can really challenge you when you are trying to improve. And that's why I wanted to cover this right away, because it will take some preparation to be able to manage this. So with psychology comes a lot of different concepts related to how our minds think. And the first element is this. I call it your inner voice. We all have one. And boy, is it good at negotiating. Know what I mean? For instance, maybe you're trying to decide if you should go to that workout. And that inner voice up there is saying, I think it's okay to skip. Or you come across a big spread with donuts, and one of those sprinkled donuts is starting to look really good. That inner voice, I think you should have that. And that inner voice is there because it wants us to be happy. It wants us to be comfortable. And we should have happiness and we should have comfort. But again, when we're on a journey, we're trying to improve, there are going to be moments of discomfort, as I mentioned last episode. And results aren't going to come quickly. And you might start to doubt yourself at times. That's when that inner voice is going to get really loud. So, what do we do about that? How do we handle that? We've known this inner voice for years. And even on previous attempts to improve, yes, that inner voice has been there. How do we deal with it? By practicing what you're going to say back. You have to actually rehearse a conversation several times with yourself. So if things start to go a little sideways, or you start to doubt yourself, or you're missing certain comforts, what are you going to say back? Are you going to say something like, I have goals. I want to stay consistent. I don't want to be this anymore. I want to be this. Think about what you're going to say and rehearse it. I do it all the time. So that prepares you when the inner voice starts to come around. And knowing what you're going to say can help you stay on track. There's a lot of power in talking to your inner voice and rehearsing that. It's creating a tool for you. Now, related to the inner voice is another concept. And this one is about, I kind of just mentioned it, attempts that you have done previously, and sometimes resulting in past failures. And this can be a psychological barrier because when you have had past failures, you immediately think of those, and you may have convinced yourself that nothing can work, and you have proof of that. Nothing has worked. And that helps you create excuses to kind of protect yourself from disappointment. Hold on one moment. That is my reminder timer for today's healthy, helpful hack. So we will get back to what we were talking about in just a minute with the past failures. But our healthy, helpful hack today is a protein bar. This has good carbs, good fat, good protein, obviously. I carry one of these in my purse at all times. Sometimes I get stuck working and I don't know when I'm going to be able to get to my next actual meal. This keeps me full. It's healthy. I'm not reaching for the unhealthy things. So every time I get back and I've used one of my protein bars, I just make sure I reload my purse. So load your pocket, load your purse, have that on hand so it helps you stay on track. And that is today's healthy, helpful hack. All right, let's get back to our past failures concept here. And pardon me while I scroll down here. It's very easy to remind ourselves of our past failures and to protect ourselves from further disappointment. So Again, how do we handle that? Well, I want to give you the Thomas Edison example. So, Thomas Edison went through hundreds of attempts to invent the light bulb, and he failed a lot. But what he did, and what I'm going to encourage you to do, is to treat every failure as a learning opportunity. Figure out what you could do better on the next attempt. Learn from it. Treat it again as a tool. It is something that can help you when you examine it and try to figure out how you can make it better. Easier said than done sometimes, but just change that mindset and it might be helpful. Also tied into your inner voice and your past failures is this word. And this one I'm all too familiar with. I am no exception to this, and it's the word compare. We compare ourselves to others all the time. And when I was in college, I was on a cross country team, long distance runners, and we were very competitive with each other. Forget about the other teams. I mean, we were, but very competitive with each other. And it was so intense to the point where all I did all day long was just compare myself all the time to other people. And I got lost in it. And I am still working on that and reminding myself that I don't need to be doing that. So, what have I done? How have I avoided comparing myself to others? Because as a psychological barrier, that pulls focus from what you should be doing. And so the answer is you focus on yourself. You focus on your numbers and the things that you need to be doing. And it does help because then it takes that worry away about what other people are doing. Because as I said in episode 1, your approaches and your numbers are different from the next person's. And what might work for you may not work for someone else, and vice versa. So you don't need to compare. You just need to compare yourself to you. When you establish those baseline numbers, and then you start your journey, and then you can compare down the road, your before to your after. That's what you compare. That is what you focus on. All right, next up, I want to talk about a concept that we are aware of, but maybe we don't tie it into health and fitness necessarily. And this concept is instant versus delayed. What I mean by that is, first of all, instant gratification, instant feedback, or delayed gratification, delayed feedback. And that's simply means, in the case of instant gratification, what it implies, you get something immediately, instantly. You get instant comfort. You get something of convenience instantly, instant rewards. Delayed gratification, there's a passage of time, and you have to wait for a reward. And how that ties into the psychological factors involving health and fitness and wellness is a lot of the time, your results don't come instantly. And that makes it hard to stay on track. Remember, our bodies work on a very different timeline than society. We have fast and furious going on over here. And our bodies cannot be rushed. And we have to be patient. And when things don't happen as quickly as we want them to, again, that's when the inner voice can come back in and start trying to talk you out of stuff, try to get you off track. And we need to understand that this is a long-term journey. So delayed gratification, those results come down the road. But there are things that you can do to even create moments for yourself on your journey. Because again, the journey is the destination, and you should appreciate all the little wins along the way. So, showing up, that is a win. Pat yourself on the back, instant gratification. You can create things like your favorite playlist for the gym, or getting a massage after your workout, or making your favorite protein drink after a workout. You can create those moments, and you hopefully have little moments of success that keep you motivated on this journey. And these moments do count. They count just as much as this over here. So when those moments come, embrace them, recognize them, appreciate them, and then you can create your own little instant gratification moments. Now, when I was writing this episode, I kind of chuckled because instant gratification made me think of a particular character from one of my favorite movies. And I'm a very big Willy Wonka fan, the Gene Wilder version. And in the movie, in that particular version, there is a character who wants a golden goose. And Wonka says, absolutely not. And this character proceeds to have a tantrum and sings a song, Don't Care How, I Want It Now. And it just made me think of Veruca Salt when I was writing this and looking at the instant gratification side of things. I was like, I really hope I'm not Veruca Salt. So the littlest things amuse me. All right, moving right along. What also is tied into the instant versus delayed gratification is this, and we all have these, both good and bad, and that is our habits. Habits are all about the reward, and the good habits that we develop, that reward does not always come right away. Bad habits, the reward comes pretty quickly. As an example, let's say that you're eating chocolates every day because it makes you feel good and you get that instant comfort. Okay. That is potentially a habit in the making, but you're getting that instant feeling. Now, if you are working on eating better and working on having a good nutrition plan and feeling the benefits from that, that does take a little time before you start to feel benefits, notice some results. So habits psychologically, play a part here. And sometimes we lean into the bad habits for comfort. So what do we do about this? Well, first of all, if you have good habits, take stock of those and pat yourself on the back, because you are capable of establishing good habits and you should embrace that. For the bad habits, how do we handle those? Well, we have to take stock of those too, and we have to think about, are these really serving a purpose? And if not, then what can we do? Well, we can try to cut down on them a little. As an example, if you are on Instagram or social media a lot, if you're on there for 4 hours a day, maybe cut out 1 hour and swap that in with either a walk or hanging out with your friends or pursuing a hobby. Something on the healthier choice side of things, and just do a little bit at a time and try to establish that. But it takes practice, and every little thing you do is a win. On the good habit side of things, obviously, if you have more good habits, you can lean into those more on your journey. Good habits aren't as easy to develop because, again, that reward comes later a lot of the time. So I have something called the 3-day rule, It's worked for me. This is just my opinion. You can try it if you want, but they say habits take maybe up to 3 weeks to develop. I don't know if there's an exact science or timeline to that, but it does take a certain amount of time to become a routine. The 3-day rule is you do something for 3 days straight. So if you are trying to eat better, eat cleanly for 3 days without fail. Be as consistent as you can. If you can get through those first 3 days, it does get easier. It's not going to establish that habit in 3 days. It's just going to get you off to a good start. But I have found that if I get through those 3 days and I tell myself, just get through these first 3 days, it can be helpful. All right, I'm just going to consult my notes here to make sure I didn't forget anything. Your homework assignment, I almost forgot that. So, your homework assignment for this episode, and again, these are all optional, is think about something that maybe you lean into, maybe a little too much for comfort. Going back to the Instagram or social media example, if that is something that you are aware of, just think about some strategies for that. Or just think about if there's anything that you lean into for comfort in general. And that's it for your homework. Nothing crazy. All right. Did Susan cover everything she wanted to cover? I am thinking that we are good. So, next episode, we are going to be talking about the importance of movement and your personal health, fitness, and wellness settings. I want to start talking about things that are going to take us to the next level. These first 2 episodes were just to lay that foundation to help you prepare, recognize things, know how to handle them. And all of this is about sustainability and long-term commitment and consistency and trying to get you on the right track, doing things a little bit at a time. So the importance of movement and your personal health, fitness, and wellness settings are up for episode 3. Thank you so much for joining me. I am going to recite my poem. And here we go. What do you do with the frustration you feel in this quest for wellness and health when everything around you is oh so confusing and all you can trust is yourself? What do you do? Do you punch a wall? Do you cry at times in despair? Or do you catch yourself and try to remember that what you are doing is rare? It's great that you're here. It's great you've committed, even when you second guess. It's in these moments of doubt. Remember why you've said yes. You can win when you want to. You can win when you wish. You can win every day, anytime. And there is a special power in this by rising above and embracing the grind. Know that there's something deep inside of what you knew all along. That trust, support, and love for yourself is really what always makes you this strong. Thank you again for joining me for drop number 2. And until next time, be kind to yourself and take care of yourself.